Hi, everyone. We're starting something new at Temple of Aaron while we're all still quarantined. We hope everyone is healthy and safe, but we wanted to spotlight some members, and what better member to start with than our current president, Steve Kafitz. Steve, how you doing on this Friday?
Doing well. Thank you, Rabbi.
All right, good. So these are going to be lighthearted and fun, but we're always going to start with why we're choosing this person. So obviously the president. So Steve, you've served almost your two full year term. What's the one message you would have to someone who's like thinking of one day being a synagogue president or dreading being a synagogue president?
No dread. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege, and I realized how many dedicated and conscientious professionals that we have at the Temple of Aaron, and how many wonderful supporters we have, and it has been a very uplifting experience. And anybody who's interested in giving of themselves and of their time, we are most appreciative, and it's been a real honor.
Wonderful. It's been an honor. I've said this, I think, multiple times on the pulpit, but Steve was the first Temple of Aaron face alongside Gary Portner that I saw when I walked into the room. So this has been a long journey for us together. Steve, what is one thing maybe that you've learned as a volunteer president as opposed to like your own professional life?
Things I think both in my professional life and in my volunteer life, come to realize that things don't move quite as quickly as you'd like them to. Trying to motivate and keep our executive board and our general board and the congregation aware of what we're doing, and making sure that they realize there's opportunities for them to participate in the organization that we have has been a real learning experience. You just have to be patient. We don't meet for the board. We meet every other month. So the activities and the opportunity to kind of move things along sometimes take a little bit longer than you expect. So that's been one of the challenges, but one of the realities of where we are as a organization and a congregation. And we all fear change, so
Yeah.
it shows up.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's part of the craziness of synagogues, that everyone deals with tradition and change and adaptability so differently, and you're herding a message for, not 800 families. How do you hit the points that speak to everyone? Do you think, one of the things about under your presidency and your predecessor as well is we've had some really big fun events at the synagogue, from the changes of Purim to the fundraisers, which have been really big the last couple of years. What's your most fun moment at the synagogue, like that you just left saying, man, I just had the best time and enjoyed being a member of Temple of Aaron?
There's more than one. I mean that quite sincerely. I mean, I think that the high holidays have been a real spiritual opportunity for the synagogue to come together. And I think that, with your help and creativity, Rabbi, it's really been a wonderful journey and opportunity for people to, get an experience that is part of our being a community. I think that's one of the challenges with this coronavirus that's really tested us. But, I applaud you and the clergy team for all you've done to try to continue to engage our congregation. Yes, the Purim programming, the fundraisers, of course, have been tremendous, not just in terms of content and your expertise as a moderator. I think you have gone above and beyond. But the reality is that, just I think the revitalization of Shabbat and the continued opportunity that we have to come together have been so successful and so meaningful, I think, for people. And we all realize how much we miss it. And it's, challenging from a number of different aspects to try to maintain that during this difficult time where we're all having to be separate. But I think that, that there's just been so much done to try to continue the connection. And I think that, when we have the opportunity, we're going to resume even stronger than where we were before.
So let's stop for talk. Let's drop the synagogue for a minute and let's just talk about fun. So I think one of the things about the coronavirus is forced us to like miss sometimes little things. Like I love going to the Mall of America and just walking a couple times around. People know that. So what's something that this summer that you're kind of missing and just hope in some sort of miraculous way, maybe through prayer, we get it back this summer? Is it Twins games? Are you a golfer? Is it walks around a lake? What is something you do for just fun sort of during the Minnesota summer?
Definitely. Well, I've continued, the opportunity to walk around has really been nice because we've actually had somewhat of a more realistic spring this year, which has really given people the opportunity to get out at least from their home. But, I do miss sporting events and I just miss, the opportunity to go out with friends and get together that way. And also to visit my kids, and see my grandchildren. That's been a real challenge. I do see them about twice a day on the internet, but it's still you got to have the real FaceTime. And all my grandchildren, like your children, they're young and they're just changing every day, and it's just I'm jealous for my kids. I'm glad that they have the opportunity to be home, even though it's challenging for them and it's crazy for them. But they're getting a chance to kind of see their kids in a different light, and their kids are seeing them differently, because typically we're all going in different directions. So I'm excited to see the opportunity for us to get together. I know that the last social opportunity that's going to probably open up is for people to get together in share sporting events, which I definitely miss. There's the way that teams have been organized and the way the calendar is set. There's something going on all the time. So it'll be interesting if we can kind of resolve that and figure that out safely. But even more satisfying will be when we have some sort of a vaccine and we all start to feel like it's a lot safer.
Okay, last question, and I think this is going to dig deep. Are you ready?
Be careful.
Okay, so we know the congregation knows that you are the son-in-law of Rabbi Raskus, right?
Correct.
Okay, so what's sort of one insight you can give us that either you learned from him when you were younger, dating and married to your wonderful wife Eve, or like a secret behind the scenes story from Rabbi Raskus that just would people would be like, what? He did not do that.
Well, one thing that, a lot of people maybe don't know about Rabbi Raskus is that when he conducted his first funeral, he got a little too close to the grave and he fell in. So that, he had an auspicious beginning.
Yeah.
But and he actually started in Euclid, Ohio. So he didn't do that here at the Temple of Aaron. He cleaned up his act. He got a lot more skillful.
Tightrope walking.
The one thing that I so remember about my father-in-law is I used to love, and one of my favorite things is the Hashkivenu prayer, which I actually talked about during the first year of my presidency when I spoke to the congregation. It's, just such a meaningful prayer. And I've talked about it at Passover with my family, talking about, going from a small place to a larger place, and just all the symbolism from the prayer itself. And I miss the old Silverman prayer book, because we used to use that every Friday night. He'd start that off, and it was just, his rhythm, his cadence. At the Shiva for my father-in-law, everybody joined in with me, and I said it there too, because it just stuck with me. It's just how he gave everybody a sense of calm and a sense of hopefulness, and it, I think, is one of the things that I have so appreciated. He accepted me as part of their family, and I knew him for a very, very long time, and a lot of people had great memories. But listen, life goes on, and I think that he'd be very proud to be a member of Temple of Aaron congregation under your watch, Rabbi.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
He'd love to. He'd love to tell jokes, and sometimes they were not always appropriate for the moment, but he got away with a lot of stuff.
Well, that's great, and I appreciate you sharing that with us and a little bit of insight. I want to thank you for your time, Steve. I hope people watch this, and we're gonna do a few more of these. Hopefully, once or twice a week, we'll have a video of someone from the congregation sort of giving some insight into who they are, so you can get to know them a little better. Or maybe you've seen them at a program or a kiddish lunch, and you're like, I wonder what that person is doing or what part of life they're at. So thanks for being our first victim.
Hey, my pleasure, Rabbi. I can't thank you enough, and continue all the great work, because it's been amazing, and we are so fortunate to have you.
Thank you. All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.